On this episode of Whatchu Drinkin, Alex Wit joins me to host as we have stand-up comedian Frank Demint. Frank was featured on Kill Tony. He won a big joke book, and he sits down for an interview with us. Stay tuned after the episode when we will play one of Frank's sets. Kick back, pour a drink, share some laughs with us. Enjoy the show. We have Alex Wit joining as a co-host. He's done 3 episodes, and he's so good at doing this that I decided to have him on. And our special guest today, Kill Tony Big Joke Book winner, Frank Demint. How you doing, man?
Thank you very much. I'm doing fine. I'm glad to be with y'all today.
Oh, thanks, man. We appreciate having you.
Yeah, it's awesome to get to meet you. Yeah, I'm excited for this episode.
Okay.
So, we've seen some other things you've been on YouTube. Aside from being a comedian, I guess we'll call it your past life, you were a doctor?
Yeah, I practiced for about 27 years.
It's not a bad run.
Family practice. Yeah.
What kind of medicine were you in?
Family practice predominantly.
And where was that at?
In Kingston, Ohio.
Kingston, Ohio. Okay.
Still in Kingston. I used to practice. I practiced for 5 years. My first 5 years in Gloucester, Ohio, over in Athens County,
Okay.
near OU.
Now, for those of us who don't know, where is Kingston, Ohio? Is that up north near the Great Lakes? Is that down south by Kentucky?
It's central south. It's about 50 miles south of Columbus, and
Okay.
Columbus is about the middle of the state.
Yeah, because
So
I
it's about
grew up in
hour-
Kentucky.
Okay. Well, it takes me an hour to get to Columbus, and it takes me about an hour to get to Portsmouth.
Nice.
So I'm about midway from Columbus to Kentucky.
Okay. So you also served in the military?
Yes, I served 3 years. I trained as a medical lab tech, as I say in my joke, but I spent really all my time doing research at USAMRIID, the United States Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases.
Oh, wow.
So old Wuhan.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so, like, what does that entail? Like, infectious diseases can mean so many different things, anything from smallpox to Ebola to technically, I guess, the flu. Can you describe what some of that like research really like dug you into? Was there anything kind of interesting you did, or was it just kind of looking at cold germs?
Well, we were looking, the lab I worked in was particularly looking at a component of yellow rain, which you guys probably never heard of, but they thought that the Russians were using it and the Vietnamese were using it during the Cold War.
Huh.
And what I was looking at was I would culture live rat hepatocytes. So that means I would take a rat, I would perfuse its liver with a solution containing collagenase, then tease out those cells, plate them out, and then I'd expose them to different doses of the toxin and see how it interfered with those protein synthesis. So that's what I did particularly. But I mean, they had, the labs downstairs where they worked with anthrax and they wore the spacesuit type things. I mean, they did it all there. I mean, and when COVID came out, I knew right away that came from that fucking lab. I knew it came from the lab. Stuff. Yeah. I mean, now this was in the 80s when I was in the army, so it's been a while, obviously. But they had guys who were guarding cow fields, watching if cows would drop over because they had anthrax buried, and that was us. You think the Chinese are doing any better? I mean, do you?
And so, what made you kind of think that like COVID came from there? Just your experience there, or did you actually like?
Yeah, knowing they were working with the virus, just Yeah, I mean, my experience, it came from lab. I don't, I'm not saying deliberately was released. Who knows? But I'm sure it came from the lab. I'm pretty sure. And
Right.
I think the evidence pointing it that way now too. Uh, I mean, what, it's the obvious connecting point.
So, did you go to med school after the army?
Yes, I went to medical school after the army. Yes,
Okay.
Is
yes,
that what is working in the lab? What kind of led you into the medicine field?
Well, I always I really wanted to go into veterinarian medicine. Is what I really wanted to go into. My We had a bunch of animals when I was a kid and stuff, but it's harder to get in vet school than the medical school.
Really?
And of course, after doing the time in oh yeah, well, it's a numbers game. There was like when I was applying to vet schools, I think there was like 27 vet schools in the whole country versus maybe a couple hundred medical schools. I mean, it's a numbers game. Not many slots left. It's more selective.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
so I ended up going to medical school. I went to Ohio University. Now it's called Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine, but then it was just called Ohio University College of Osteopathic Medicine. Did 4 years there. Had a good time. I enjoyed medical school. I enjoyed the army. I enjoyed doing the research. Didn't enjoy the 10 weeks of basic training though. I was a little older by then. So it was a pain in the butt. Yeah, I was. When I went to basic, I think I was 22, about way to turn 23. I had about 3 years of college. I mean, and I had been, for the 70s, partying and all that. And so I wasn't in the best of shape. And my DI did not like me. My drill sergeant just did not like me from the get go. And I had problems with push-ups. And he tried to drill me out, and so out. He tried to get me out. So he woke me up and I had to go in front of the captain. And the captain I obviously looked at my records and saw how much college I had in, and I was going to go into. So no no chance of me having to go to battle. And he was like, I want you to do push-ups. I probably saw that captain once or twice after that. but after I started, when we got to the firing range, I was pretty accurate with the M16, and then the drill sergeant sort of laid off my back some after that. But it was 10 horrible weeks.
I can imagine. And when you started going to school, like, did you have like the goal of going into family practice, or did you kind of start with a different goal for when you graduated?
I went in planning on going into family practice. That was, and I even got a national health service scholarship for to go into a primary care field. So I did after I got into it. About my fourth year, I did do a dermatology rotation, and the reason I did the rotation is sort of interesting. Uh, I I realized that these family docs and pediatricians, didn't know any skin stuff. I mean, I was just like, I had one family doc. We were looking under the screen, and I moonlit while I was in the army as a medical lab tech in a hospital. So I mean, I know how to do that stuff. And we were looking at skin scraping, and I saw what was obviously an artifact, and the doc called it a fungal infection. I'm like, okay, he doesn't know what he's looking at. And when I did my peds rotation, every time the patient came in with a rash, however many pediatricians there was, that's how many diagnoses was given. So you knew these guys did not know what the hell they're looking at. No, I've had to deal with dermatology because I'm going to see something, and I didn't think I'd find it interesting, but it was very interesting. If I hadn't had already committed to family practice with the scholarship and stuff, I might have gone into dermatology because I found it fascinating. And you would think it would be like the most boring part of medicine, but it's a lot more fascinating than you'd think.
Interesting. I never would have really thought of that, for dermatology, but I guess when you get into it, there's a lot of ins and outs and a lot of different things that can happen, a lot of diagnoses. And it sounds like
Mm.
doctors still kind of don't know what they're talking about some days, even being 2025 now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like I say, that's what made me take the rotation, and I was pretty decent at diagnosing skin stuff when it came in. So I felt comfortable with it.
When did you decide to start doing comedy?
Okay, comedy. Yeah. Um, I started doing comedy in 2019 after I left medicine. Uh, and as if you guys had checked, it wasn't totally of my own choosing. But I'd rather not talk about that if you don't mind. But and I went
Understandable.
through a major depression. Huh?
It's understandable.
Go ahead.
We'll skip that one.
But so I was in a pretty deep depression. A friend told me about a local comic whose name's Lori Graves, who did comedy around here. Went to hers, went and saw her show, thought she was funny. She'd have shows occasionally in the area, and I'd go to. And she plugged this open mic one night. So I went this first time I went just to watch. I didn't go on stage. No one was funny except Lori. And someone had a speech impairment that made mine seem mild. I mean, very mild. And I said, "Damn, I think I can. I think I can be funnier than those guys." And I did next open mic. He was one that like once a month. It was right before COVID. It was the spring before COVID. And she was running one once a month down here in Chillicothe area. So I did. So I was making. So I made that first mic. Did my 5 minutes. Some of the stuff I still use today. My bits. And got laughs. Lori told me come back next month, and that's how I got started. But I was really only doing it really once a month down here. Well, I separated from my wife in December 2020, and it was our second separation. And the first separation, I stayed home and moped and felt sorry for myself. And her friends started calling me and saying, "Oh, she wants to get back," and we got back together. Well, we broke up again, so obviously it didn't work out. I said, I like this comedy stuff, and it sure makes me feel better. So I said, why not do it instead of staying home and mope and get old? I mean, I'm around young comics all the time. I feel much younger. I'm almost always the oldest guy around. Uh, it makes me feel younger. It makes me feel good. I like making people laugh. I mean, most every comic's in it almost because they got some sort of mental health problem. I mean, we all know that. Yeah, I think mine's probably milder than most, but I mean, I did get in a pretty dark spot. So I think majorly because I enjoy doing it. I'm no longer tied down to a wife, and and it's therapeutic. That's why I do it.
Laughter is the best medicine, they say.
That is
Yeah,
true.
yeah. And that's also because of that. It's a thing. It is a sort of a medicine. So I'm still able to practice medicine in a way. When you think of it that way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you kind of feel that way as you kind of had that like emotional things going on and possibly slipping into that depression, and then you're going out and making people laugh and helping them with that. Like, how does that kind of correlate with you? Um, Making people feel better when you're just kind of going out and having some fun yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel great about it. I mean, I really feel. I like making people laugh. I mean, it sets off the endorphins and the dopamines and all that stuff that we like. And it's a great experience. And you meet people, and since Kill Tony, I mean, any random place some person might recognize. It's funny. It's funny. Locally, of course, a lot more than other places. But I'll be even out of state somewhere doing a show, and somebody will just, oh, you won't kill till I love you. It was, you know, so that feels great. You
So,
know,
so
helping
do
them
you
making
have to?
people's lives a little better.
Do you have to? Do you get to travel a lot and do shows?
I traveled some doing shows, mostly I would say in the Midwest,
Okay.
and maybe the northern part of the South. Uh, Open them more. I mean, I'm still a beginning comic. You know how this game is. Uh, I've been at it for about 6 years, 4 years seriously. You know, so I'm still, I can, I've done.
We lost him. Yeah, we're at 19 minutes and 2 seconds and counting. He dropped out at about 15 or 16 to give you a number.
Okay. He just.
I'll text.
Yeah. I sent him a message. He thumbs up. I think he signed him back in. Oh, you time stamping it?
I just sent you a text going, hey, about 15, 16 is when he dropped out. Go, hey, technical difficulties, we're back. You were telling us about
All right.
the Midwest is what he was talking about, I think.
All right. I'll let you jump.
I think I was basically just saying where I was touring, and basically that, I've done everything up to basically being a feature of places, but still pretty early in my career.
So the comedy scene where you're at, I mean, you're close enough to Columbus. I'm assuming there's plenty of open mics and shows to do up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I go to Columbus. Well, I hit Columbus. Several times a week.
Oh,
Minimum of 3 times a week usually to go to just open mics because they're the closest to me. An hour away. Down here in Chillicothe, we have a Tuesday mic that I go to. And then I'm only an hour and a half from Dayton, so I go to Dayton some too and hit mics there and shows there. Uh, the Columbus scene, like a lot of things, real clicky, and I'm not really, I'm a little too old for clicks, if you know what I'm saying. So I get booked more outside of Columbus than I do inside of Columbus. I've gone to Massillon, and like I said, I've done stuff in Indiana, Michigan, Kentucky, Tennessee, several, all over, like I say, the Midwest and the northern part of the South. So I go wherever
okay.
I can go, wherever I can get. And when I go, like I went on vacation to Florida just recently, and I hit mics when I'm down there. I hit a couple of mics in Tampa, one there in Fort Myers where I was staying. So I pretty much do comedy well I can, and I
Where
try to
did
get out,
where
at
did
least
you where did you
three
perform
times a
in
week.
Fort Myers?
It was just it was just an open mic. It was like a little hole in a wall place called Stets. They don't have much of a scene down there, but
Uh,
I saw it, so I said, "Oh, I'll check it out." It was a
okay.
fun time.
Yeah, I just asked. I actually lived down there for 4 years, so I kind of I know the area.
Oh, okay, yeah. I actually went to high school in North Fort Myers High.
Oh, okay.
I yeah, my family. This is wild. My family's originally from the area I live in now in Ross County, Ohio. And then when I started middle school, they moved to Yellow Springs, Ohio to try to save an old family farm. And so I lived there during my middle school years. And then when I started high school, then we moved to North Fort Myers, Florida. And it was quite culture shock. Are you guys familiar with Yellow Springs and Antioch College? Any of that? I'm not
I
sure where
am
you guys
not.
are from.
Not
Okay.
really.
Well, yeah, Yellow Springs is like what's the head of hippiedom during the day. It's very left wing. And so I went from there, and I had long hair and stuff. to North Fort Myers, Florida, which at the time, this was like in 1972, was pretty redneck and raw and, not so open-minded, so to speak. It was a bit of a culture shock.
So have you ever made it further? You said Midwest, like define Midwest. Like if you, I live out in Colorado. You ever made it out this far?
I have not made it to Colorado uh, that far. Though I have gone, but again, just to open mics, not to perform. But I did well at the mics, and probably can go back there for. I've gone to Vegas. I have done mics in Vegas. I've not ever been booked yet, and of course I've gone to Austin. I go to Austin. I've been booked in Austin.
Nice.
Oh wow.
A couple of times, a couple of small shows, nothing big, but yeah, I go to Austin. I try to go to Austin. I try to go once a quarter if I can afford it. Though I haven't been there since February, so it might be late. But when I made that trip, I stayed 3 weeks, and we were able to hit 4 Kill Tony attempts, and I got on one. So, I don't feel so bad. But I try to go down there for. I mean, I'm retired. I have a not great income, but decent income coming in. I own my own place, so I don't have to pay rent, just property taxes. But so I'm pretty free to go. So that allows me a lot of flexibility to travel places. Because again, never gonna get. You gotta get seen outside of Columbus, Ohio. There's a scene there, but you gotta move outside of that.
Yeah, it seems like Austin has become a mecca.
Yeah, Austin seems to be, and I'm thinking I'm not divorced yet from my second wife. We're still separated, but I'm in the process, and as soon as and I had a prenup, so my property is my property. And
Smart.
yeah, you learn after the first one, like, oh yeah, I'm going to protect myself. I paid for this motherfucker twice, And so once that divorce goes through, I'm thinking about selling and moving to Austin because I sort of feel that's probably my best shot, at my age, down there. But yeah, it has become a mecca. And have you guys been down there?
I've
never
not yet.
really. Yeah, me either.
Because I'm going to tell you, you go to open mic, and it's like about 10% of the comics are funny. So you go through a lot of bad comedy before you get to the good comedy. I mean, you just do. It can sometimes seem like torture, But I mean, that's like that. I mean, it's like that most everywhere. I mean, I thought it was like that in Chicago. I've been in Chicago. I've been booked in Chicago. I didn't mention that, but like I say, yeah. Well, I lost my chain of thought there.
You were talking about Chicago.
Yeah. The open mic yeah. I mean, I thought in Chicago only about 10% of the mics were funny. So that might be just my view, but I feel around here in Columbus when I go to these mics, usually about 25% of the comics are funny. Now, when I say funny, I don't mean they're ready to hit the stage for a Netflix special, but at least they've got some funny material. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. And you said you still use some of your earlier jokes. I mean, you have to really polish those for years, right?
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, like that. That's it. You polish them. I had one of the guys. I was on a podcast locally in Columbus, and the guy asked me why I, say jokes so often. I say, well, to polish them, to get them home, and that was before Kill Tony. And my thing is that look at my set and look at Caleb Lee. that was on Kill Tony from Memphis, where he died. I mean, the guy just died on set, and I know the guy. He's funny. The guy's funny, but he ate dick on Kill Tony, and it's because he didn't have something so prepared that he could just do a minute off the top of his head. And I've seen that over and over on Kill Tony. I've seen comics I know, and they do their minute, and you're like, man, you've got a better minute. Why did you do that? And that's why you try to polish and polish that jet so it can come off quick, come off natural. That's why you do that.
Do you think it's harder to do the minute than in a 5-minute open mic?
Damn. I suppose doing a minute at Kill Tony is harder because you gotta be sure you pop throughout that minute. With 5 minutes, you can spend some time setting up a joke that you just don't when you have a minute. You gotta be able to start getting the laughs out pretty quick. Because I'm of the opinion, though, that if it takes you a minute to set up your joke, you got a whole lot of fat you need to cut out of that joke. It shouldn't take you that long to set up a joke. But, if you got 5 minutes, you do have more time to do that. But, I already know what minute I'll do the next time I'll do on Kill Tony. Again, it's another minute stuff that I know will get laughs throughout, They'll get probably should get as good laughs as I did the first time, if I ever get another. So, and that's why you do the same set over and over. I find a lot of, I think what people would call hobbyists, maybe, they try to think they got to come up with a new 5 minutes, like every time they come up or every so often. It's like, no, you need to really have a solid 5, not be coming up with a whole bunch of new material, and none of it's really tight. None of it. You don't have that time. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You want 5 minutes of solid material and that 1 minute of new material or so. So kind of moving, staying with Kill Tony, did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to Kill Tony to get on there, or how did that kind of happen?
It's just a bucket pull. You gotta go in. They have a place across the street. I can't think the name of it off the top of my head right now, but sort of camcordered from the mothership. And you go in there and you gotta sign up, and then you just wait till they pull your name and call your name. And I luckily, like I said, it was my 4th trip, and I finally got called. I felt lucky about it. But no, they didn't contact me. I had to go down there and just enter my name like everybody else.
And when you finally got the call that said, Frank, you're going on Kill Tony, how did that feel to you? Were you nervous? Were you excited?
I was excited. I wasn't so nervous. Again, I knew what I was going to do. I knew my material. I knew exactly what I was going to do. What they do, they call, you don't have much time because they call you and then you got to get down there and meet this guy. And then they got to take you across the street, Kill Tony, and they bring you behind the building. And of course, there's security there. And of course, they drop your pocket, get everything out of your pockets and all that. And then you're up there, the guy who directs you up there tells you, be honest with what you tell them, let them lead, don't step over them, stuff like that, when it comes to the interview, and just, give your best minute. I waited there maybe a couple of minutes. I was on stage, did my minute. The one thing I did not hear the cat meow. I didn't know. I was pretty much right on the minute. Of course, Tony stopped me, but I didn't hear. But of course, when I watched it back, you could clearly hear it. So I don't know what was going on there. So I'm so glad Tony stopped me before I started another joke. That would have been bad. And then, you guys saw the interview. I mean, I don't think I could have expected that interview to go much better. I mean, what was it, like a 13-minute video? interview. I mean, it was pretty long.
Whole clip was between him bringing you out, the joke, and then the interview. Yeah, it was just over 13.
Yeah. So I mean, that was. I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, and I showed a couple people that video when I was telling them we were gonna be interviewing you today, and we were sitting in one of the restaurants I work at, laughing at it. It was a great bit. The interview at the end really tied it together. You did great out there. It was amazing.
Yeah. I felt good about it. I felt good. I mean, I think it would have been better if I would have gotten a ticket, but that's the way it goes. But yeah, I felt really good about it. I'm gonna go back out there again, try again, keep keep it. And like I say, I think eventually I'll probably move down to Austin. I mean, first of all, I'm getting tired of the cold. I mean, winter gets tiresome the older you get. and so, but like I said, I do enjoy doing this stuff, though, and I enjoy Austin. I like Austin. It was fun down there.
Nice. So coming from the medical field, the military, you've been in college. Do you I've heard some of your bits where you kind of bring in some of the military. Do you draw a lot of the things you've been through in the military or in the medical field, the doctor's office, the hospitals? Do you pull a lot of those inspiration for jokes?
Definitely I do. I don't tell too many medical jokes yet. It's still a little touchy-ish.
Oh, I saw him. We're back.
Yeah. Like I say, I don't do a whole lot on my medical stuff yet. That's still sort of a touchy thing, and then but I do tell a few jokes on that. But I do draw from both those experiences, medical experience and other experiences in my life. I think before we got cut off, right after I cut off, I was saying that that's one advantage I have over new comics is I have so much more years of experience to pull from. So I got lots of stuff. Well, guys in their 20s, come on, you ain't experienced life yet, know. So how can you comment about it in a funny manner?
Yeah, it's definitely harder to come up with things in any form of writing whenever you haven't experienced it. I went through that whenever I was in college. I feel like if I would have waited another 5 years before I went to college, then I probably would have did better in my English comp classes.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. Yeah. In your 20s, you so much you have not experienced yet. Not as much material to draw from, and of course there's new material all the time. So that's good too. So, but yeah, I try to draw a lot of my jokes from my experiences.
Yeah. And
I
Frank,
don't do a lot political. Go ahead.
Going back to your medical thing, so my question is, what's the dumbest question you've been asked as a doctor? I travel a lot and I ask park rangers and things, what's the dumbest question they've been asked? And I've heard anything from when do you let the bears out? When do you turn the waterfalls off in the national park? What elevation do deer turn into elk? Those types of things. So I'm just curious if you can come up with one of those kind of very blatantly obvious dumb questions that somebody asked you, even in the military, wherever. I think it's just a funny story to hear.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. See, to me, the and I have a joke about it, but it's not really in that line. But always when somebody comes in with some object in the ER with some object up their rectum, and the stories they tell you from them, that
And then the
That's good.
double is
I
how
don't
did
know
that
if
get
on one of
there?
my videos I have that joke on it. I don't know. Did you remember that joke from him? You know, I'll tell it real quick for you. I've been doctor for 27 years. And there's just a few things I like to tell you about medicine. One is when your doctor asks you what medicine you're on, don't tell them a little white pill. That's like when a girl asks you how big your dick is and you say adequate. It gives us no information at all. And when you come to ER with some object up your ass, you don't need to come up with some story like I was in the garden naked and I slipped. I bikini ended up there. We know that's not how that happened. And guys, I know y'all thought about being a gynecologist at one point because all that pussy you look at. I'm going to show you the pussy you guys look at and the pussy us doctors look at ain't the same pussy. The pussy you guys look at its morning coffee and cigarette. It's well groomed. It's happy pussy. The pussy us doctors look at hasn't had its morning coffee and cigarette. It's got a 12 o'clock shadow, and it's usually dripping something. It's angry pussy. Angry pussy. So, uh, I
Take
think
note, all of
my
you aspiring
the greatest,
gynecologists.
uh, but I think the most interesting thing I have, and I had told it with the joke, that same joke one time, but it didn't come over. But one time I had a woman come in, an older woman, probably late 50s, early 60s. I was probably in my 40s at the time. Came in with this vaginal discharge. And man, when I got in there, the odor was just horrendous. I mean, it could curl the toes of a possum. I mean, it was just really bad. And I ended up pulling out this little, probably about a 50-cent piece of French tickler that was in her that came off of whatever sexual device. And when I pulled that out, she looked at me straight in the eye and said, "That's my husband's fault."
I guess it was only adequate.
And then I had these three, a mother and two sisters that would always come in to see me. And it was always for vaginal stuff. And it was always a dread when I had, because I didn't know what was going to come in. I mean, I just did not know what they had stuck up there since I last seen them. It was just bizarre. uh, uh, but yeah, medicine was interesting. Practicing medicine was interesting.
Yeah, lots of stories to build on that one. So,
I'm sure.
I have a question. What's harder, telling someone a life-changing diagnosis or bombing on stage in your first year of comedy?
Oh, damn. I don't know. I mean, I've been thinking about it. I remember the first real bad diagnosis I had to give someone after I was actually a practicing doctor. And, I was able to do it. And I didn't have any trouble going on stage the first time. I really didn't. I mean, neither one was difficult for me. Neither one was real difficult. So I don't know. I'd say about the same. About the same. You know, you get, it. I took speech class. I mean, in college, so it wasn't speech therapy. It was an actual class on how to give speeches. Because obviously, if I had taken speech class for my speech, it didn't fucking work. But anyway, uh, and I always did well in that class. But I tried to do a comedy speech. Again, I was in my 20s, didn't know shit. And it was the only time I bombed. I mean, I really bombed. I mean, really bombed, like most first time Michaels do, really bombed.
Right.
And, I thought, well, I always enjoyed comedy, always big Colin fan, Richard Pryor, those guys, Cheech and Chong. I said, well, I guess just not cut out for me. And now here later, I've got all the experience drawn for him. I can finally really be funny, So I sort of, I feel good about that. I for sure feel good that I went from where I thought I couldn't do to something that I can do, So, that was cool.
To all those aspiring comics out there that may be doing their first open mic night and bombing or killing it, what's something that you've learned from your first show to appearing on Kill Tony, and traveling to Austin and doing all these amazing things in different cities and making people laugh across the country? What's one piece of advice you got for them?
You got to be persistent. Uh, you know, uh, find, get a type 5 and perfect it. Get that type 5 and perfect that. Um, don't be afraid to bomb, because we all bomb. I mean, it's part of the thing. But be prepared. Don't go up. The biggest dread, because I hosted open mics too, and the biggest dread is when the guy comes up to you and you say, "Have you done any comedy?" And he says no, and they say, "Well, do you have anything prepared?" And they say, "No, I just going to whiff off the top of my head," because you're going to hear the worst you're ever going to hear. So, so definitely have something prepared, uh, you know, and be able to take criticism. If comics willing come up to you and say something, he or she obviously saw something in you. Uh, so take the criticism, seriously, uh, and just get on stage. I mean, you don't get better the more you go on stage. I mean, you should get on stage no less, I would say no less than 12 times a month at the beginning. You just
Wow.
if you want to be serious about this, you got to really hit the open mic. You got to find whatever's close to you that you can try to do that with. And I mean, I know there's some people living in places they just can't do that, but that's what you really need to do. That's how you're going to hone yourself to 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 be very good at this.
And I think last question, what's next for you? Where can we see you next? What's your next steps?
Well, um, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Frank Demint on both. I post everything. I got this Wednesday. I got a show in O'Connor's Tavern in Springfield, Ohio. On Friday, I think it's Friday or Saturday. No, the 19th. No, Saturday. Not 19th. Saturday. 19th. I'll be at the Attic in Columbus. But I got, like I said, I go wherever I can get booked at. So, and if you're out there and you want to book me, get hold of me. I'm willing to travel.
Sounds good, Frank. This has been really fun. Super happy you agreed to do this.
Well, I was glad to do this for you.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. Thank you for the laughs.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate you taking the time. It's great to get to know you. We'll definitely get this up, and I hope that everything works out for you. You keep getting some shows going. You're a hilarious guy, and I hope the best for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You all have a good day.
You too, Frank.
Thanks.
Absolutely beating the shit out of that crowd. Let's hear it, everybody at the Attic, for Frank Demint. Hi everyone, I'm Frank Demint. As you know, I just came back from Austin, from Kill Tony, but I got this big book, huh? Yeah, thank you. My fourth trip to Austin. I always love going to Austin because they think I'm Cajun now. And like I say, it's my fourth trip there. I always go there by the terrorist-free airline, Spirit Airlines. Yeah, no self-respecting terrorists would hijack Spirit. They be, they be the laughing stock of the terrorist world. I can hear it now. Did you hear about Bill? No. He hijacked the Spirit Airline. He's now only getting 36 versions. I was in the U.S. Army, and I had signed up, thank you, and I had signed up to be a medical lab tech. But during induction, military intelligence, an oxymoron if I've ever heard one, wanted to talk to me. So I went to talk to him, and they asked me to go into linguistics. I was like, what? I'm not fucking this language up that time? They can fuck up another one? And while we're at it, I don't think radio operator or air traffic controller would be good choices either. I'd kill more people than the terrorists. Anyway, and while I was in the Army, I finished up my bachelor's degree. Thank you. And I waited till the very end to take my foreign language requirement for, well, obvious reasons. First, I thought about French. I thought that nasal sound would cover up my list. You know, bonjour, sacre bleu, bonjour. No, that just made me more incomprehensible. Then I thought about Spanish, but then I realized I can roll a joint, both types. But I can't roll it all. Sounds something like this. Sounds like Velociraptor. So I ended up taking sign language. I'll show you here. If you didn't get that, that was pussy. But my hand outside of this. Such a shame. There's three words I say that people don't.